Hi Virgo and Virgo rising, this is your April 2017 forecast. So last month I spoke about the significance of retrograde Venus, and Venus is still retrograde until the 15th of April. This month your ruling planet Mercury goes retrograde, so that's where I want to spend a little bit of time. If you want a refresher on retrograde Venus, then just click on the beginning of one of my March forecasts. So let's look at Mercury as a retrograde planet. Mercury, of course, goes retrograde about 3 times a year and roughly for 3 weeks at a stretch. So Mercury can be a bit of a trickster energy. We're all familiar with the typical Mercury retrograde mishaps, like miscommunications, things don't come out quite as clearly as we would like, and there tends to be misunderstandings on both sides. Traditionally not a good time for new business, so it's all about finishing old business, and where you do go forward into new business, because of course life does go on, you want to check understanding, so make sure that you and the other party are on the same page. Mercury retrograde can also play havoc with electronics at times, or misplace objects or data, so car keys, phones, that sort of thing go missing and get found later on, and electronics tend to break down. But Mercury is also the divine messenger, and where Mercury goes retrograde can show us where we need to stop, pause, and pay attention. So where Mercury is retrograding is typically a time or place where we want to pause, reflect, and review. So let's look at where Mercury is retrograding in your chart. So Mercury will be retrograding in your 9th house, and so we'll stay there until the 21st of April. So Mercury retrograding in the 9th, this is a good time to resit exams, to go back to education. It's also a good time to revise, proofread, and revisit work. So it's also a placement where it's good or advantageous to explore books and studies and things that stimulate or edify us in terms of belief. With Mercury retrograding in the 9th, you may think that you've lost sight of the big picture. And of course with Virgo, this can happen easily. So getting lost in details, losing sight of where we're going. So Mercury retrograding in the 9th can really challenge your life philosophy. Are you living up to your ideals? On a more mundane level, travel plans need to be triple checked and you can expect delays. So really what you want to do now is check where you are so that you can see where you're going. So it's all about faith in the future and thinking about these things. So from the 21st, Mercury goes retrograde into your 8th house, and this is the house of hidden things, so secrets or hidden things can come to light. It's a good placement also to eliminate the old. Because the 8th house can deal with fears and anxieties of mind, Mercury retrograding here is very beneficial for psychotherapy, for talk therapy, that sort of thing. So talking through issues. So healing can be very fruitful at this time. So this is also the house of joint resources, so there can be some delays or issues around joint resources. And in general, you want to look at your give and take within relationships. With Mercury retrograding in your 8th house, you also want to renew insurance, pay off debts and taxes, and it's not traditionally considered a good time to take out a loan. So with the 8th house, also what you can explore is intimacy and trust issues. So let's look at what else is happening this month. We've got the Sun in your 8th house until the 20th. So the Sun in that house of joint resources. It's a good time consequently to create a budget or a financial savings plan, although you should be pretty good at that. Because this can deal with hidden matters and deep-rooted matters, this can also be the house of addiction. So this is where we eliminate or change bad habits. So a good time to confront issues or habits and get rid of them. Elimination is key here. The 8th house is also good for clearing out all types of psychic junk. So, do a bit of a spring clean here mentally, internally. It's traditionally quite an introspective time. With the Sun in the 8th house, it's also a good time for research or developing ideas that you want to take to teaching, publishing, or print when the Sun moves into your 9th house. So the Sun moves into your 9th house from the 20th of April. And more than any other time, the Sun here is very outward focused. So this time of year, you're looking for adventure. You're looking for ways to make life more meaningful. So you're looking for things that can break you out of the mold of routine. I mean, a routine has its place, but of course it's the unknown we need to move towards, because that's where learning happens. That's where development happens. So the sun in the ninth, it's great for travel or study plans. So, metaphysically, you're also more receptive. So you're more open to spiritual plans. And so you can choose to use this transit to stimulate the mind, or physically with adventure, with study, with travel plans. Can be a good time to take an adventure in the form of a vacation. So what you're really looking for is unfamiliar experiences. It's also traditionally thought to be a good time to take up a new hobby. Anything that can broaden your scope. So Venus will spend the whole month in your 7th house, and Venus in the 7th is of course the best placement for all kinds of significant partnerships. So the best position for love affairs and relationships with other people. It can show a wholly new love relationship at times. But really Venus here is working cooperatively, it's working for mutual benefit, so it really helps smooth over all kinds of social interactions, make things work out more harmoniously and cooperatively. So, like I said, can be the start of a new love relationship or the renewal of an old one as well. So good for developing intimacy, sharing and caring within relationships, particularly once Venus goes direct. And of course, Venus retrograde could have connected you with a partner from your past. So Mars until the 21st is going to be in your 9th house. So Mars, of course, very adventurous in the 9th house. So that 9th house is the house of higher learning, travel and study, and metaphysics. So Mars here channels its energy into those things. So, Mars, of course, is physically driven and robust. So putting your energy into these areas. So energy can be going into teaching, publishing, self-promotion. Can also be diverting energy into legal matters or concerns. So good for spirituality and ideas and for new experiences. Mars here very hungry for adventure and for stimulating things, both for the mind and for the body. So from the 21st, Mars moves into your 10th house, and of course Mars in the 10th house is very focused on career matters. So it's all about ambition, getting to the top of the heap, showcasing your talents and skills and capabilities. Mars in the 10th can sometimes show ego conflicts, but Virgos are very considerate, generally speaking, so I don't think that this will be such a problem. So really Mars in the 10th is going to be a great time for you to advance professional goals and objectives and ambitions and showcase your unique talents and abilities. So Mars in your 10th house from the 21st on. So let's look at the other aspects this month. On the 5th, we've got Mars trining Pluto from your 9th to your 5th house. And Mars and Pluto together are great for creative energy and courage and self-assertiveness. And for you, this can be around love relationships, travel, study plans. So you're able to put a lot of determined energy into your ambitions, objectives, and goals. So sustained energy with this transit, the ability to accomplish a great deal. So make use of it. On the 8th, we've got Venus retrograde squaring Saturn from your 7th to your 4th house. So this can affect you in the sphere of partnerships and family members. So Venus and Saturn in a hard aspect can show a cooling off of emotions. So feeling a bit more reserved emotionally, a bit standoffish. So, or it could be that your advances have been rejected by somebody. So a bit more difficulty relating to other people under this transit. So chilled emotions, generally speaking. On the 9th, we've got the Sun squaring Pluto from your 8th to your 5th house. And the Sun and Pluto in hard aspect can show power struggles. Of course, the 5th house is the house of children, so this could take the form of temper tantrums from children. And because the 8th house is implicated, it could be around intimacy and trust issues. So ego trips and conflicts definitely implicated with this transit. So the full moon is going to be on the 11th of April and happening in your 2nd house in Libra. So the 2nd house is that house of resources, self-esteem, and so this is really the house where we come to feel good. So, issues of power and control could have been coming up in the preceding 2 weeks. So with the full moon happening in your 2nd house, it's all about your comfort and your needs and tending to your needs first. So, sharing issues can come up, but really this is the time with this full moon to take care of your own needs, make sure that you're comfortable, pampered, and rested. On the 17th, we've got the Sun trining Saturn from your 8th to your 4th house. And the Sun and Saturn can deal with serious subjects. It's good for disciplined study, for patience and endurance. So, working hard, dealing with responsibilities and duties. And for you, this can be around budgets, around family matters. So, really putting in the slog work and the grind. On the 20th, we've got Mercury conjuncting the Sun in your ninth house. And Mercury, of course, retrograde at this time, but still, Mercury and the Sun together, very good for mental focus, clarity of mind, good for being articulate in communication. So for you, this could be very beneficial with regards to studies, travel plans, being revisited and revised, because of course you want to triple check them with Mercury being retrograde. So this is good for learning and activity and mobility. On the 24th, Mercury trines Saturn from your 8th to your 4th house, and like the Sun trining Saturn, Mercury trine Saturn is very good for serious subjects, for studies, so good for learning and educational matters. And for you, this could be around budgets and financial planning. So this is very good for tedious rather than inspired work. So perhaps financial plans, budgets, accounting could really be beneficial for you under this transit. So the new moon on the 26th is in Taurus and in your ninth house. And of course, the ninth house rules travel, adventure, higher learning. And with the new moon here, this is active energies for the next 2 weeks around these areas. So travel, learning, and adventure. So for you, this new moon energy is really about new activities and projects that inspire you, that give you faith in things, that make your life, that break, your routines and, so take you beyond the pale, really. So it's all about new studies, perhaps some travel plans, and you'll be much more receptive to philosophical and spiritual ideals. So, or looking for physical adventure under this new moon energy. So the month concludes with Mercury conjuncting Uranus, and Mercury, of course, retrograde. And this is going to be in your 8th house. So in the 8th house, Mercury conjunct Uranus can perhaps show you feeling a bit overstimulated, overwhelmed. You need to take a bit of a time out. Your thoughts could be racing a bit. On the other hand, if it's a good transit for you, this could show sudden insights and ideas or exciting news and communications. So you'll just have to see how it works out for you. Mercury and Uranus together, particularly with Mercury retrograde, can show some problems with electronics as well. Anyway, if you've enjoyed this forecast, please like and subscribe. And if you'd like to book a personal reading, you can visit my website at www.psyche.co.za to book a consultation. I hope you have a great April.